Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Sales Chalk Talk Show brought to you by Red Cap Sales Coaching. I'm Hugh Little, your sales wizard at Red Cap Sales Coaching and Elite Sales Academy, where you can learn to make selling easy, fun, and profitable. If you're a chiropractor, a realtor, sell HVAC products and services, or run any kind of a service oriented business, you can learn how to serve more people and dramatically increase your conversion ratio, sales, and revenue. Stay tuned, and you'll find out how you can take the first step to get started growing your business into the successful enterprise you really want it to be. I'm broadcasting today from Sebring, the very best part of Central Florida. It's very exciting to welcome my good friend and former co host, Jim Hamlin, back to Sales Chalk Talk. He was my co host for many years, took a break for a while, and now he's back. He and Gene McNaughton will be sharing the co hosting on the show. Originally from Sweet Home, Alabama, Jim now makes his home in Lubbock, Texas, where he's a heating, air conditioning, and plumbing salesman extraordinaire, doing around $2.5 million in sales annually. He's been in the HVAC sales business for around 40 years and also teaches and coaches other HVAC salespeople to be effective and successful in their sales. Hey, Jim, what's going on up in Lubbock, Texas?
The heat is what's going on. It has gotten really hot really quick. We've been over 100 degrees a couple past days, and this whole week it's going to be in the high 90s. So we're excited since we're in the air conditioning business. So that's what's going on.
That is an air conditioning guy's dream right there.
Amen.
You bet. Hey, you're invited to continue making Sales Chalk Talk a part of your learning in 2022 and beyond. Every week, you'll be able to get inside the heads of some of the most brilliant people in the areas of sales, marketing, leadership, business, and success. You can listen to all the past and future Chalk Talks at redcapsalescoaching.com/podcast, or you can listen on iTunes, and we're just about everywhere else you can listen to podcasts too. On upcoming shows, we'll have a great lineup of guests coming up for you here on Chalk Talk. So stay tuned and learn more and more about how to build your business and your sales. Today, we're most honored to have authority expert Simone Vincenti with us. And let me tell you just a little bit about Simone. Simone is a multi award winning serial entrepreneur and author who has helped people to launch more than 500 profitable businesses before he reached the age of 30. He writes for Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, The Huffington Post, and regularly features on TV and radio talking about entrepreneurship and the current small business landscape. He works with coaches, speakers, experts, and entrepreneurs, helping them create high converting launches and build their profile so they can make a bigger impact in their industry and the world. Simone's website is gtex.org.uk. That's gtex.org.uk. We'll tell you what's available to you there just a little later in the show. I think you can tell you're in for another fun, fascinating half hour. So sit down, buckle up, and hold on, folks, because here we go. Hey, Simone, welcome to Chalk Talk.
All right, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
We've been looking forward to having you on the show. And today we're going to talk about building authority. Now, I've got a lot of authority on this show. Jim doesn't have any.
That's right.
So
You have all the buttons.
So he needs some help. Simone, you need to teach him how to build authority. To begin with, I want to ask you what you wish you had known when you first started out in your business and you had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah. Well, going back to authority, um, is that you can be the best at what you do, or great at what you do, or even good at what you do. But if people don't know about you, good luck. And that was the biggest thing because I remember when I was going either when I started my business, I spent which was an event company, the first business I run. I spent a lot of time thinking about the product, thinking about the service that we were offering, managing and organizing the event. But at the beginning, I spent very little time in building my profile, making sure that actually people knew that this was our company, what we were doing, building our audiences. And that meant that whenever we were running an event, we're always struggling. We're always struggling to fill it up, always struggling to make sales. And then I had to stop and started really looking at what makes the difference. And when you're known, you can even do an average job and actually be overbooked. And I think we all know someone in our industry that they're not that great at what they do. Just ask the most known and they get the most business. So that's what I wish I knew.
You're talking about being an authority. So you were obviously an expert at what you were doing. I feel like I'm an expert at what I'm doing. So what is the difference between being the expert and the authority?
The difference in perception. That's what the difference is. Because you can be an expert in what you're doing, which means that you're great, like you're good, you have good level of skills, you know what you're doing, you can service your clients really well. But the authority is in the eyes of the beholder, if we want to use this term, right? So it's in the eyes of the person that you're talking to. And if they don't see you as an authority in what you're doing, then well, of course, they can still buy. But if you had a conversation with someone who they perceive as being the number one, and with someone who is not the number one, normally the number one gets the business. And so the perception is what creates authority. And that's what we can talk about, is that, what are the elements that create the perception of authority that everyone then can use to showcase how good they are and how great they are in their business.
So what are some of those elements?
Oh, that's I distilled them down in four areas. Again, this came from observation first. I looked at who are the people that I really admire, that are known in the industry, that also are good at what they do. What is it they have in common? And to remind myself, to remind everyone, I used a little acronym called ASAP. It was almost like becoming an authority as soon as possible. So ASAP stands for association, speaking, awards, and publications. So these are the four areas that get someone to be seen as an authority. Association is, who do you hang out with? Who are the people or the companies that you've worked with or worked for? Who are the people in your network? Who do you associate yourself with? It builds your authority. Speaking, for the S, which people that see you on stages or giving you or at conferences, or people seeing you delivering content about what you do, it increases your level of authority because it's external validation. You have other people listening to you, so therefore I'm not the only one. Then awards, as much as people, every industry has their own industry awards. Awards can be a bit dodgy or you can only get them if you pay for them. If you're in the award industry, is an entire industry that works in that way. But there is something to be said about someone that wins awards year after year, and in particular more legitimate award, the one that you cannot buy, and they are the one that bring the most weight. And then the last one is publication and media. By being featured in the media, by being featured on publication, then you get access to an audience that you don't have. You get external validation. And somehow we are taught to trust the media. I can debate that sentence, but we are taught, or we grow up trusting the media or the people that are there. So if you have a combination of all these four elements, then you will build authority really quick in your field.
I like that. And I just figured out how come Hugh has so many awards. You said you can buy them. So that's
The main challenge that I'm having is that I associate with Jim. And,
that's right.
And he's so good at what he does. He's such a good salesman, man. It just puts me right in the shadows.
Right.
So where does it leave me that I'm in your media, which is the podcast right now?
That's
Because
right.
now we go full circle.
That's right. Well, I got to ask, you're going through this process, you're figuring this stuff out, and what you're saying makes so much sense. So what are one or two lessons that you've learned about building authority that had the biggest impact on you and your business?
Yeah, the number one is about the association part. Association can really take you from no one to someone overnight. In particular, if you are associating yourself with important players in your industry. I remember I was 26, and that's where our company was put on the map and the work that we did. And by then, we have already run more than 300 events. So it's not that we were playing around, but still, we're playing a very small level. And we ended up having an opportunity to have an event with Les Brown, which for the listeners that don't know is probably one of the, if not the biggest speaker in the speaking circuit in the personal development space. And I ended up doing an event with Les Brown with 1,000 people and hosting the entire event as an MC. And literally, that was the first year where we went, where it was our first 6-figure year. That we went from literally like 20,000 that we were earning, because as much as doing a lot of events, we're not making any money, to the point where actually people started recognizing the quality of the work that we were doing. But it was Les Brown name that put us on the map. And the year after happens with Gary Vee, where we did another event with Gary Vee. And again, we literally tripled our business that year, because people started taking it even more seriously because of the other association. So really the biggest lesson is that if you think strategically and if you build relationships strategically and if you're in the right places, you can speed up the entire process. And for what some people can take decades, it can take days. Of course, you got to back it up with your work. No, if you don't, if you're not good at what you're doing, then it's just going to amplify the fact that you're not good at what you're doing. But if you are good at what you're doing, then this becomes a great launching platform, and that will be the biggest lesson.
Well, you just mentioned a launching platform. So, what advice would you give someone wanting to start a business and build authority in their field?
First of all, is that it can be quite difficult to get to someone who is incredibly popular or to do business with some of the top businesses from the very beginning, and to have those names under your belt. So always look at understanding, like serving or connecting with someone is farther along the line, because they will be connected with other people that are further along the line. As an example, I remember when I was interviewed on I don't know if you're familiar with the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast with John Lee Duma.
I am not.
Is a huge podcast in the entrepreneurial industry, and I've tried to go on that podcast for about took me I pitched that podcast for a good 2 years, and they are overbooked. They're also almost like invitation only, and through a series of connections, then I got introduced to John Lee, which then got me on the show literally in weeks after that. And I got an email in minutes after that introduction. And the reason why, like if I were to reach out to that person straight away, it was too far from my reach, way too far from my reach. There was nothing that we had in common. But because I've been on other shows, I've been on other podcasts, and I built networks of other people that were further along the journey, somehow I managed to connect with someone that then was a really good friend of him. And so the biggest piece of advice to start, I think, is to look at who are the people that are a bit further along the line, build this connection with them, deliver work for them, show them that you can provide really good quality, and then ask them for introductions or recommendation. You never know where the next introduction is going to take you.
Well, how did you get introduced to Les Brown? I mean, you're right. He's a mega star.
Yeah. That wasn't like, if I were to reach out directly to Les Brown, I haven't tried actually, but nothing would have worked. What I did, this is strategy actually that everyone can use, and I use the same with Gary Vee as well. I looked at who was the organizer of the event that was bringing Les Brown to London. I'm based in London. And at the time I was in the event space. So I had something to add value to. And if there is one thing for everyone to notice, if there is one thing about people that organize events, they need help. I don't know any event organizers that doesn't need help. Have you guys ever organized an event or been involved in organizing events?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Lots of events. Yes, right. I know what you mean.
So that's probably why Hugh lost his hair, and why you have
Oh,
and why you have
wow.
yours and why you have yours gray, Jim. But but anyway, we can all say that we wear scars. People in the event space wear a lot of scars. They're battle scars. And I reached out to the event organizer and say, "Hey, I see you're bringing Les Brown to London. I'm a huge fan, and I'm more than happy to help. You don't have to pay me." So the organizer got back and say, "Actually, we need quite a lot of help. So if you can come in, let's have a conversation and see what you can contribute." So we had a chat, and I ended up literally taking over half of the organization of the event because of my background. And I could add that relevant value, which means that the organizer, Althea Grant, was able to focus more on other things that only she could do instead of figuring out the logistics or the running order and the connections with the speakers and so on. And at that point, I let her know that one of my skills is emceeing. Like, I can host as well. So if you need any help on stage, I'm more than happy to be there. But I haven't pushed it because if I had to push the fact that I wanted to be on stage, no, that I was not gonna be a genuine connect request, a genuine ask for help or request for help.
Mhm.
So but I told her, I let her know, and it happened that she said, "You know what? I'm really overwhelmed on the day. Can you actually be the main host so I can figure out the other parts and I want to speak at the event and not just host it?" And of course, I said yes, and that's
Wow.
how I got on that stage. And I did the same thing with Gary Vee the year after. Reached out to the organizer. I said, "Hey, I see you're bringing Gary Vee to London. Do you need any help?" Last year I did Les Brown, so I had that to leverage this time, and same thing happened.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that story. Yeah, you, you're in a profession or field that has different things that people talk about that you would like to debunk or get rid of. What is one of the common myths about your profession that you want to debunk?
Common myth of my profession that I want to debunk is I think there is a lot of focus in our business, in our industry, in the coaching and consulting of like building a six-figure business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I'll help you build a six-figure business, and you need to have a six-figure business, and you must have a six-figure business. Um, Having a six-figure business is not that much money at the end of the year, though. That's
Yes.
like if you come from a salary when you're earning probably like 40,000 a year, then, or even $50,000 a year or pounds, whatever you are based, and you say actually, or 20,000, and you say, okay, I'm gonna go into a business because I want to have this dream of six-figure business. By the time, unless you want to work every single day of your life, by the time you hire a couple of people and you have some money spent in marketing and operational stuff, you're not taking home much more. So I would invite people to think way past beyond that. Of course, six figures is a great milestone to achieve and a milestone to celebrate, but it most of the time the real game starts at that level.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually when the game starts. Before is the warm up. That's from my experience. That's what I can say.
That makes
I
sense.
actually decided to become an entrepreneur because you only have to work half days, and it doesn't matter which 12 hours it is either.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly that.
No joke.
Folks, we'll be right back with our very special guest, authority expert Simone Vincenzi, and talk more about how you can go from being an expert to being an authority. We want to encourage you to visit his website at gtex.org.uk. You'll find some awesome blogs and podcasts on the site. You can get an expert biz checklist, the exact business growth plan to go from expert to authority in your business. You can also gain access to an awesome training video where Simone shows you how to achieve business success. You'll learn to focus on the most important things, how to position yourself and build your expert business, and how to use the quick launch formula to monetize your business. You'll also find information about how you can join Simone's Ultimate Expert Community private Facebook group. And finally, when you're really serious about applying what you've learned in the checklist, the video, and the community, you can apply to gain access to the Ultimate Expert Program, where you'll be guided to ultimate success in your business. So check out Simone's website at gtex.org.uk right after the show. Or you can even stop the recording and check it out right now and take advantage of all the good stuff there. I promise you'll be really glad you did. Now, if you leave to look at the website, be sure you come back and listen to the rest of the show, though, because Simone and Jim have some more great stuff for you. We're back with our very special guest, authority expert Simone Vincenzi. Again, Simone's website is gtex.org.uk. Simone, another question that I have for you is, as far as media is concerned or publishing is concerned, it seems to me that there's just so much noise out there and people are just being inundated all the time with offer after offer and different podcasts that are out there. What suggestions do you have for cutting through the noise?
Cutting through the noise. It is a combination of things. There is not one thing that cuts through the noise, because you can have, for example, one thing that goes viral that cuts through the noise and gets shared a lot, but that doesn't mean it actually is going to bring you any business.
That's right.
It's good to have a lot of eyeballs. It's good to have a lot of eyeballs. The more eyeballs you have, and the more people know about you and they see your stuff, the higher are the chances you are going to pick up clients from there. But I remember I worked with a client that she had, I think, about 100,000 followers on social media, and they were engaged. But when I asked her, how much money are you making? She was like, oh, I'm making about $2,000 a month. I was like, wow, I had about 5,000 followers at the time, and I was making $250,000. So I said, okay, actually, we can do a lot here with your business. And to cut through the noise, I think is a combination of the right message. So actually to talk about things that people really care about and they can connect with, talking about their problems, the situation that someone is having, someone that can see that particular message and they can say, yeah, that's what's happening in my life, or that's what's happening in my business. That's number one. The second part is consistency, because it doesn't mean that you have one of those, then you're going to hit jackpot, but you need to have years of consistency on that, which can solidify your position in the market. And the third one is the levels of connections that you have, because there is a level of people in your community that are consuming your content, or they are, knowing about you. And there is another level of people that are engaging in your community, that they actually want to be part of what you're doing, that you can create more meaningful conversations with them. And so if we're able to drive the people that are, just in your periphery or that are aware of you into a closer conversation, into a community, into something that can get them to build a stronger relationship with you, now you're cutting through the noise much more effectively, because now that you've built a relationship, they will care about you. They will care about you because you cared about them. And that's what I think really cutting through the noise in a sustainable way means, compared to a viral post that you get once and then that's it.
That is really powerful stuff. And
Yes.
Simone, it's just been so great having you with us on Chalk Talk. Before we let you go, we do have one more question for you, and it's one that we ask all of our guests on every show. The question is based on one of my favorite books, The One Thing by Gary Keller of Keller Williams Real Estate. If you could give our listeners just one piece of advice that you consider to be the most important in gaining success in their businesses, their sales, their relationships, their lives, what's the one thing, Simone?
This comes from an old Hungarian man, which I had the pleasure to work with. and to work for. His name is Mihai Herzeg. He used to have one of the top 10 most loved plant shops in London, to give you an idea. And there are a lot of plant shops in London. So top 10 from Time Out. Without buying the award. We can convert that as well. Going back to the award industry. He is a brilliant person who created a real impact in the community. And when I asked him, like, what is your philosophy in business? And he said, build your community and your community will build your business. He says, build your community will build your business. And the way that he did, and the way he achieved in great success, is that he was organizing activities for the community so the community could connect. Organizing a tomato festival, planting more than 2,000 different plants of tomatoes that children were coming to harvest, and I was watering all of them. We were organizing food fairs for the community, something that would bring the community together. And he only had to do literally like those couple of activities a year. And every day we had the queue outside the shop because all the families, all the people were coming there. And the reason why he did it, because he was focusing on building community. And because he was the catalyst of bringing the community together, the community was going to buy from him, even if his prices were higher, even if it was not in the best location, but it was always full. So build your community, the community will build your business.
Wow.
Those old Hungarian guys are pretty darn smart.
Yeah.
Well, folks, here at Sales Chalk Talk, we believe in taking action. So go to Simone's website at gtex.org.uk. Check out all the awesome blogs and podcasts. Get your Expert Biz checklist, the exact business growth plan to go from expert to authority in your business. Watch the free training video. Join Simone's Ultimate Expert Community private Facebook group. Apply to gain access to the Ultimate Expert program, where you'll be guided to ultimate success in your business. Take massive action. Don't procrastinate. Do it now. Go to Simone's website at gtex.org.uk right away, and I promise you'll be really glad you did. I also promised to give you some information about how to increase your business and sales, so here it is. If you'd like to start scaling your sales and revenue, you can have a free sales strategy session with me. Just go to redcapsalescoaching.com and you'll find a button on every page where you can schedule your free, no obligation, valuable session. You'll also find a ton of information at redcapsalescoaching.com that will help you tremendously in increasing your sales. If you're in the Lubbock, Texas area and want to enjoy total comfort in your office or home, no matter what the weather is like outside, give Jim Hamlin a call at 205 999 1402. Well, Simone, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come and share all of this great stuff with us. And we want you to come back and talk with us some more, because this is just really great stuff. And I know we haven't exhausted your expertise by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I got a few more tips. I got a couple of more tips that I can give. Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great conversation. I appreciate it.
And Jim, what parting thoughts do you have for the folks today?
I don't know, but I'm still, and I wrote it down, build your community and your community will build you. I think that's priceless. Thank you for that bit of information, Simone.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mihai.
Yeah, thanks, Mihai.
Well, folks, that's about it for today's Sales Chalk Talk. We'll be back soon with another awesome Chalk Talk. Our next special guest is going to be Mr. Game Face himself, Dave Major. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, make it fun and make it profitable. So long, Simone. So long, Jim. So long, everybody. And good selling.